The tiny little studio on this tiny little Greek island. You can see it's kind of a mess in here. So, you know, when you have a tiny space, you are required constantly to pick up and get it back into shape because even just, these things, these USB cords that I use throughout the day in my filming and in the you know maintaining of this YouTube channel. I mean, just these two splayed around just create havoc, and it's such a minimal amount of give me a second. It's such a minimal amount of stuff, you know. And I have my journal and some ideas that I had for a video that I'm still working on, and I really haven't had the time to put it together. And if I don't have a clear space or a somewhat put together space, it really, really disrupts my creativity. It really does. It's like my creative realm, this creative pathway that I have in me, suddenly is all cluttered and doesn't get me very far. So it's important for me to just stay steady, keep picking up, putting things away, cleaning off my palette from yesterday's painting up there, and keeping it when I can, when I'm not in my top prime mode, and most of us aren't in our top prime mode most of the time. When I'm not there, it is the continual acting on developing and the next stage, the next step, the next painting. And the more that I'm doing those smaller circles, those daily tasks, those little daily tasks, because that's what they are. They're little, they're tiny, they're everyday, they're mundane. It's those things that keep the fire burning, that keep the coals lit and glowing and ready to, with that breeze of creativity rushing through you, bursting into flames. And there you are, and you're creating and you're painting. So, having said that, I want to talk about this painting I did last night in the live stream. And because it had been 5 days since I've been able to come in here to paint, and 5 days outside of my 30-day lemon challenge, I really needed to just paint. I was not able to push myself forwards to try something new like watercolors, to move into an area that I was uncomfortable with. All I could do yesterday was paint the way that I paint, do what I normally do, and the only pushing that I needed to do was to get it all done under the hour mark, right? And I did. I didn't spend a lot of time on the finer details of the painting. I didn't bother with any of that. I just needed to paint a painting in oils using a limited palette, which is what I do, and it's comfortable for me, and it is something that that works in me, partially because I'm comfortable with it, partially because those are the areas that I learned, and that's how I developed my habitual pattern of painting. And this 30-day challenge, again, is about stretching those boundaries, becoming uncomfortable, trying new things, messing up, which comes along with stretching yourself, right? With pushing beyond your known comfortable boundaries, stepping out of your comfort zone. And it's only there where you can grow as an artist. And, but there are times when, like yesterday, when I just needed to come back and do what I normally do. I was happy that one thing that that I'm not so worried about anymore is getting everything all tight and fine and specific, right? I'm focusing more on getting the values right or right enough, of making sure that, when you look at it, you can tell it's a lemon, obviously, but leaving some of it loose, like not worrying too much about it. And I could get lost in the whole hyperrealism thing, which is one of the reasons why I don't go there. As I need to keep pushing and letting go and releasing, because generally in my life I have a very, very tight control over who I am and how I am and how I present myself to the world. Even this little, morning musings this morning is me being open. It's easy for me to be open and honest about things. But I am also playing that role, of the artist on this tiny Greek island, an expat, in this tiny little studio, and finding ways to create, finding ways not just about how to create and how to make a painting, but I really love to dive into the essence of creativity and what it means for me, how that whole creative process works through me to create a painting. And it has really, really helped me, just with every single part of my life, and just expanded my vision of what life means to me at this time in my life. And it's a continual process. So this 30-day lemon challenge has supported that, because like I'm doing these little studies and I've got a certain time frame to do them, and it's just pushing me beyond my habitual, typical level. Like, I place myself here, that this is what I can do. I'm learning how to be okay with the painting not being uber finished, with the painting being okay, good enough, with it. And what I find is, looking at these paintings that are just good enough, right? They're not my typical output, but I'm looking at them going, okay, they're they're sloppier than what I normally do, but there's something there. There's a certain energy behind it, and I like that. I like that I can connect with that, even though they're not perfectly rendered the way that I would spend lots of time doing. allowing for mistakes and the space for more mistakes makes me a better artist. It makes me more comfortable in that area. And then that kind of makes me more comfortable in my own life when I can only be good enough about, because, you can't be perfect in anything. In fact, you can't be perfect in anything. You can get really good at some parts of your life, but the other parts won't be good. And there's all this self comparison going on. You hear about someone who, I've got these qualities and I do well here, but oh God, I'm not good at keeping up with the laundry. And then you hear about someone else who has the entire house and their studios completely perfectly put together, right? Not one single dirty cup in the sink. And you compare. You're automatically going, oh, well, I don't do that, right? And you think that they're on a better level than you, or perhaps sometimes you may compare yourself. If you're comparing yourself to anybody else, you're looking for ground to stand on. Where am I in this situation? And no, I have plenty of dirty cups in the sink. I'll only wash the dishes once or twice a day. I don't do it all day long, right? But I'm also in here. And so my strong qualities, I know where they are. And I know where my weaknesses are. And I also know that we're not all meant to do the same thing. And we're not all meant to do the same thing well. So taking my homeschool thoughts on that, and I think there are actually some schools who are actually able to do this, where they look at the child and support them through the areas where they're really, really good, that they can excel in that area. Like if you're a fish, you can swim. If you're a fish, you can't climb trees very well, that kind of thing. And then help them explore climbing trees without degrading them for not getting up to the top, right? And I'm outside of the school system these days, being 60. And but when I was in school, that was very much the case. I'm assuming in many schools it is very similar. There's a lot of things going on, but the point is to understand where your strengths are, what you're good at, and be able to work towards the areas that you don't like very much about yourself, that you feel that you're weaker at. And if you don't acknowledge that, like I've got 5 cups in the sink right now, and if I go into the kitchen, okay, well, how long would it take me to actually wash them? Maybe I wash them and put them away. Maybe not, right? It's all a decision-making process that comes from you and only you. It must only come from you, not if somebody's yapping at you to do something, or if you should be more like this or you should be more like that. No. Don't listen to that kind of thing at all. But within you, if you're thinking, well, I can clean up my studio a little bit more, I can do it before I go to bed, then you can work towards doing that. Or in your painting, okay, well, usually I don't work with analogous colors, right? Usually I don't do that, but if I did it a little bit more, then maybe I would discover something about my creativity. I could discover something about how I put a painting together more effectively just by doing that. So circling around. When you do a lemon practice, like a 30-day lemon practice, is painting 30 little paintings, little studies of lemons. Give yourself a time frame, because that's a challenge. And it really does kind of push you beyond. And it gives you the opportunity to leave things that really aren't that important, right? So it's an effective practice, so that when you go in there and you do it, you try new things, you work on the areas of your art that you didn't really spend a lot of time doing. Like if you're a realist artist, hey, go in and do something like, do abstract lemons. Let it go, right? Just start testing yourself, start pushing beyond your boundaries, start getting out of that comfort zone. And if we do that in our studio, then yeah, our paintings are going to get better. And if we do that in this studio, then yeah, we are going to feel more love for ourselves. I'm not going to do the better thing here, right? But it gives you the opportunity to love yourself even more. And I like that. I do. I like that. All right, you guys, I am going to get off. Be inspired, be creative, be you. I will see you all again tomorrow. Today at 6 o'clock, we have a painting date. Okay, I'll be here, set up a painting situation, and let's see what happens today. All right, take care. Bye. Ah.